What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast interview. Every single week, I interview top entrepreneurs, top real estate professionals, and straight up top badasses that are out there dominating their spaces. So people choosing to not live life of mediocrity, but instead to create big, amazing, epic lives for themselves, as well as their families, and have a big impact on others. And today, you guys got another rock star, epic guest on the show. So our guest today, guys, dropped out of college to get into the real estate industry in 2005. Quickly grew a mega team of 120 agents, doing hundreds of millions of dollars annually in gross volume sales. And then in 2015, he turned his focus into creating real estate software full-time, creating tools to help realtors grow their business. So today's the founder and CEO of Guerilla Realty. So really stoked and honored to have Christopher Jones here on the podcast. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. You know, my mom's the only one that calls me Christopher. Well, my mom and Josh Smith, apparently.
Yeah, there we go, man. So, yeah, dude, no, stoked and honored to have you on, man. And you've been up to a lot of big things, and you got, I know, a lot of big things in the works, dude. So if we were to rewind the clocks, man, I'm always intrigued in our guest journeys that led them to this space in the first place, or to entrepreneurship, if you will, in the first place. So if we run the clocks back to 2005, man, like what kind of came about the making the decision to drop out of college and jump into the real estate industry?
My dad. So my dad was in real estate. He actually, hope his backstory is not too boring, but growing up, he was always in the automotive repair business. So he had transmission shops and mechanic shops, and he grew up from being a mechanic to actually owning these shops, and at one point owned, I think at his peak, like 6 of them. And the problem that he found with that industry is that it's a industry that you can be the absolute best, you can execute flawlessly, and at the end of the day, all your customers still hate you, right? They're pissed their car's broke, and they're pissed that you're charging them so much money to fix it. And so it was emotionally draining. I think I wasn't aware of this as a kid, but as I got older, maybe 14, 15, he started looking for a change. And he had a friend, a guy by the name of David Evans in North Carolina. I think he was with Century 21 back then, and just said, hey, with your sales background and your entrepreneurial mindset, I think you'd be amazing at real estate. Why don't you, get licensed and come do it? And so my dad took his savings, got licensed, and jumped into real estate. And so he did that while I was in high school. Fell flat on his face. He was used to making pretty good money, maybe 150, 200K at the time. And he fell on his face. Basically, he did everything that all the experts were teaching him, all the capital G gurus at the time, which was all like sphere of influence based stuff. And he was doing it bigger, badder, and better than they were even teaching in the books and the audio books and the seminars and all this. And it just wasn't working for him. So he took what he had learned in the automotive repair business, how to generate leads online from a website, simple Google AdWords. This is way back in 2005, remember? And started generating leads online. So after some fits and starts, his first 6 months in real estate sucked pretty bad, and he was thinking about getting out. Suddenly his business exploded when he went back to doing what he knew how to do. And I think that's where the original germ seed of the idea for what we do now came from. But shortly after that, he started doing more deals than he could keep up with on his own. Started thinking about growing a team. And I was in school, poli-sci major at Campbell University in North Carolina. And he said, how would you like to, I think you've got a lot of my entrepreneurial spirit. How would you like to come and just be my head of marketing and help us recruit more agents and grow really big? And so that's how I got into real estate.
Yeah, love it, dude. So you made that transition. Now, was it just, man, I'm going to just drop out of college and go full-time at this thing with my dad? Or was it kind of a slow transition, and then as you got a taste of it, you just knew that was the
Yeah, actually, so the summer, so I'm my dad obviously is a hardcore cat, and I remember I was 14, and I was homeschooled, but the day after the last day of class, after I'd finished all my school for the year, it was sometime in late May, when I was 14 years old. I was sleeping in. It was like 8 a.m. and he busts in the door, because we're not allowed, no privacy, right? So he busts in the door and he said, hey, you're 14. Where are you going to work this summer? And, I'm like foggy eyed and like I just woke up, and I'm like, well, he's like, you're going to get a job, right? And So I was like, well, I wasn't planning on it, but doesn't sound like you're really asking. It sounds like you're telling. So I went out, got a job, worked really hard until every summer I had, in fact, I actually, by the time I was in high school, I was probably working 40 hours a week at multiple jobs while I was I was homeschooled. So it was flexible schedule and all that. And, so I learned all kinds of different weird little skills. I cleaned orchestra instruments at a music store. I made pizzas at a pizza shop. And so by the time I got into college, I had to give those jobs up because college was like 45 minutes away, but I was still living at home. And so that summer, he said, well, look, normally I bust into your room and tell you, hey, go get a job, for the summer. He said, but why don't you work for me this summer? And so I came on and started learning the ropes and, learning some, marketing basics, and I had a knack for it. And so that year when it came time to get back into college, that fall, he said, well, what if I just made your position full time? I think you're really good at it. What if I made it full time? And that was all I needed to hear. I wasn't really enjoying school. And so I dropped out, never looked back.
Yeah, right on, dude. So then did you stay teamed up with your father and working with your father as you guys were growing this real estate team, or was it something at some point that you transitioned on to kind of your own path?
Yeah. So basically joined up with my dad, and we together we grew, like you mentioned before, we grew a massive real estate team. I think at the time, this is a relatively small market, so to have 120 agents on our team was pretty huge achievement for us. We were making great money. And at the time, this explosion of his business, or our business, got some national notoriety. So some of these, conferences around the country started inviting him to come and speak. And so we did a couple of events together, and people would come up to him and say, hey, how did you grow so fast? What was your secret? What was your, and my dad's sincere desire to help. And, same with me. We'd spend all day fielding emails and trying to help people. And what you realize is that you can try to help somebody build a lead capture web page. I remember this is in 2005, before like everybody knew what a squeeze page was, right? So you could help somebody try to build a website and run Google AdWords, but like most people can't build a website. You probably can. I barely can, and so you could give them all the keys to the kingdom, and they wouldn't know what to do with it. And so they were like, well, I don't build websites. Like, what do I do? And there was nobody out there selling. So you figured this demand, like, what if I just created I could really help a lot of agents. What if I just created a great lead capture website and then taught everybody how to run really simple Google AdWords so they can capture their own real estate business, stop being dependent on brokers. And, back then the big lead vendor it wasn't Zillow, it was House Values. I don't know if you remember that company. Yeah. And so he said, stop being dependent on those companies. We'll teach you how to do it, and we'll just license you a website, pretty inexpensively. I think it was like $100 a month or something like that. And so he started growing the seed of a software business. And this was full steam ahead. We're basically doing both full steam ahead into 2009 when the bottom fell out. And he had to make a choice whether he really wanted, he's getting older and, starting to plot his exit strategy. And so he had to decide, do I really want to continue doing the whole real estate thing? And do I want to get out of it? And he basically gave me the chance to take over the software thing. The problem was people weren't really buying houses. And because of that, realtors weren't really buying software. And so both businesses kind of faltered. We had to make a decision at that point. He ended up doing real estate, taking the real estate. I ended up taking the software, and basically completely started over, but at least we had an audience and at least people knew who we were, but started over, founded Guerilla Realty, and built what is our flagship product, Pipeline Pro Tools. Now there's a few years that pass in between there, some real, years of some hard struggle. But so he ended up doing real estate for a few more years and plotting an exit strategy that allowed him to retire. Now he is in Wilmington, North Carolina, running a bicycle shop, which is what he always wanted to do. And he cashed out of real estate, and I'm running what's now known as Guerilla Realty and selling lead capture tools to realtors.
Yeah, love it, man. So then it sounds like 2015, that's when you just went full chips on with this and gave this your full focus, it sounds like, right?
That's exactly right.
So then, yeah, man, I mean, let's kind of walk through that, dude, because it's in the world that we live in today, man, as far as real estate agents. I mean, it's, I don't want to say scarier than ever, but it's, you said something, or your dad had the foresight earlier on in his career, that in my opinion was extremely intelligent, right? I kind of had to learn this the hard way, but never to be reliant on these third-party sources. And like now today we're seeing, Zillow make all these transitions. Like in my market, dude, you can't even buy leads from anywhere. Right? It's 35% referral fee, right?
Wow.
Like I remember that day, man, I was when they switched from impressions or clicks to impressions, right? I was like 16 grand a month deep in Zillow ad spend, and my cost per lead went from like $17 to 40 some dollars overnight. And I realized at that point, shit, dude, I can't be reliant on somebody to my business is too vulnerable with that. Right. And you guys had that foresight early on. And I think today it's more important ever than before to know how to fish for yourself. Right. And feed yourself, man. So, yeah, I mean, kind of give us an idea of, what is it that you guys are doing now?
Yeah. So Guerilla Realty, we do tools and training. Our slogan is tools and training to help you rapidly grow your real estate business. And so we focus on anything. Our number one core value is that we're here to help agents win. And we'll literally get involved in any project that furthers that mission. And so I'll tell you a couple of things that I'm excited about. And then like our number one focus, of course, would be Pro Tools, which I'll give you a rundown of in a minute. But so tools and training. So we basically publish what we call playbooks, and a playbook is just like any really simple, like single use strategy or tactic that you could use to connect with more real estate clients, right? And buyers, sellers, you name it. And we've put together what I feel like are at this point, I think we have like a library of like 12 really strong playbooks that we've used in our own real estate, because we still have a local real estate operation, although we don't focus on making it as big as possible like in the olden days. But we generate a ton of leads every month. And so we'll test, the market's constantly changing. We're constantly testing new ideas. We've bought leads from Zillow. We'll literally test anything. We'll take the best, most popular Facebook funnel out there and we'll run it for ourselves. And we're numbers obsessed. We'll track everything. And the stuff that works, we'll keep and we'll share it with other people, even if it's not ours. And the stuff that doesn't work, we trash it, right? And so we've put together 12 original playbooks that we've developed ourselves for connecting and closing, connecting with more clients and closing more deals. And most of them dovetail with the software that we've built. So we built this software specifically to help you connect with more leads. And so that's what I spend my time focusing on now is selling Pro Tools and sharing it with more agents. And then of course we do a lot of training. So we'll teach webinars and we'll put together, more playbooks, but that's what we spend our time doing now. And then one of the ways that we've built our list, so I think we've got 16K subscribers coming up on 17K email subscribers, is we love building free tools. So we'll just build like productivity apps you can use on your phone or your computer. Listing Cake is an example of one. So you can build awesome listing videos in less than 60 seconds directly from your phone. So you could go to a home that you're listing or just one that you're promoting, and you could take a couple of snapshots. You could take a couple of videos, upload it right there to Listing Cake on your phone. You can drag and drop to get them in the right order. And then you choose a layout, choose some background music, download the final cut. The whole thing takes less than 60 seconds. And it's like an amazing, super professional, like Hollywood edition of listing video. And we do that for free, right? Just enter your email and you can use this tool as long as you want for free. And so we just build productivity apps, give them away for free. And hopefully they'll help you, either grow your business somehow or connect with more customers. And then we'll show you, our best stuff, which is Pro Tools.
Yeah. Love it, dude. Love it, man. So I'm curious, dude, with you being in the software game now, was this something that you are pulled to, if you will, when it comes to software development, or was it just from your dad? You guys, somebody had to take on one and, right. You guys kind of had to split on which route you were going to go.
Yeah, like
something that you
split
learned
the baby
from.
in half.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that so it wasn't that, because we really did start over. What my dad was selling, we don't do anymore. It's not as effective as it would have been. And so we really had to evolve. And so when I took over, he gave me the audience. but we started over, and I knew that it was going to be a grind. But I was inspired by something that he had done. And I wouldn't be here without him. And what he had done is he had helped me discover that there's a real opportunity in building software because the average agent doesn't know how.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you can be an agent, understand agents' needs, right, and how to, the strategy behind growing a business and building a sales engine that's going to, provide you a constant stream of, you use the fishing metaphor, but a constant stream of new fish or new clients. And then you can build software to make that better, easier, more effective, et cetera, et cetera. There's a huge opportunity there because agents can't build software. So they're these independent business owners, right? So every realtor is like a CEO of their own little business, and yet they can't build their own software. They can't build their own tools. And so I saw that as a massive opportunity. And so I'm not an engineer by trade. Like I said, I can barely build a website myself, but it's really easy for me to envision new tools. And I have an amazing team that can bring those into reality. And so that's what we do. But yeah, my dad showed that there's a massive opportunity to build stuff that other people don't know how to build. Just hiring the right people.
Yeah, no, I love it, dude. And what's cool about it, man, is, there's a lot of software I think that people go out there and create for the real estate industry because they know that, look, I mean, we're all salespeople, and who's the easiest people to sell to is salespeople, right? So like we buy everything, right, as realtors, and but they're not operating from the realtor lens where you had so much success, right? As well as failures that you had to overcome. So you're able to look at it from the lens of a real estate agent of what types of tools do we need in our business to create success with. And I love the training element, man. It's, I always compare it to like a gym. You can walk into a gym and you can see have all the beautiful equipment, everything in there that exists, right, to accomplish your goals. But if you don't know how the fuck to use it, you're not going to have success with it.
Yeah,
And that's what I find with most agents, whether they go get a great, whatever the system is, let's just say that it is a great system. It's just the overwhelm of, well, how do I put this into action?
Mm-hmm.
That leads to the demise, I guess, of their success.
I love to use the gym metaphor. We use this anytime we're giving a demo, is that we are probably one of the few software companies in the real estate sector that is staunchly anti-contract. So we don't try to sign you on for 2 years or something. You can use it at will, month to month. And if you're not using it or you're not generating a positive ROI, then we want you to cancel it. So that most gyms are profitable based on the 90% of people who never show up or never use it, right? And only 10% of people actually come. And that's why we focus so heavily on the training side. Is I can't tell. So I don't know if it's cool for me to call out one particular company, but they're really old. I don't even know if anybody uses them anymore. Do you remember Top Producer?
Oh yeah. Yep.
So it's like the number one CRM, real estate CRM in the whole world. I can't tell. And they used to sell like the client side software. So you get the little CD, pop it into your computer and install the software, right? So this is back in the day. I can't tell you how many realtors I've met over the years that bought like 5 different editions of Top Producer, and it was expensive. It was like over $1,000, right, for the software license. 5 different versions of it, and never installed a single one of them. They're literally like on the shelf. And it was just like, it was the software that your broker told you to go out and get if you're going to be successful in real estate. But then there was really no training on the backside. And I saw that over and over and over again, that, what difference does it make if you have an awesome CRM and you never use it, you never install it. So.
Yeah. Love it, dude. So with that being said, I mean, you guys are obviously, with all your clients out there, you're seeing what works and what doesn't work, and I see so many real estate agents that will get into Facebook marketing, let's just say, and even though they're generating a lot of leads, like they struggle so heavily with the overall conversion. Because one of the downsides to technology is, I think so many people are hoping that it replaces, I guess, they could just automate anything and everything.
That's so
right?
sexy, yeah.
But I'd love to get some insight, man, for our listeners of with these tools that you guys are using and the online lead generation that you're doing, like at a high level, your clients that are having success at a high level, like what is it that you see that are doing differently to convert these into clients and have success with it?
Yeah, so one of the things that we do with all of our agents who use Pro Tools is we apply something that we call 80-20 analysis. So everyone listening is probably familiar, has at least heard of Pareto's law or Pareto's rule, whatever you want to call it. And the idea is that 20% of causes lead to over 80% of results or effects, right? We're all familiar with this. So 20% of the agents are producing, over 80% of the deals or the transactions out there. But what that also means is that on a micro level or a personal level, 20% of what I do on a weekly basis as an agent, or what you do, Josh, is going to produce over 80% of your results, right? And so I always show them this nifty little pie chart that shows that basically 80% of what they're doing is worthless, right? It doesn't matter. So we're wasting times on tweaking our business card, or like changing the font on our website, or doing all this stuff that doesn't really matter, makes us feel busy, but doesn't really matter. And that when I apply this analysis to most agents' businesses, what it really comes down to is there's really two activities that seem to matter that produce over 80% of all their results. Over 80% of all their commissions come from just two activities they do on a weekly basis. And that's, number one is adding new leads to your pipeline. And for me, it's not a lead unless it is a phone number at minimum. So sometimes we're just capturing a phone number with a phone call or like a text message or whatever. And then sometimes we're getting a name, phone, and email, but it's always at least a phone number, or we don't consider it a lead. So like these people who are taking email addresses and plugging them into some kind of like drip campaign, I've just never, like I said, we obsessively test everything, because if it'll work, we'll use it, right? We treat everything like a science experiment, but we've just never gotten results from a system like that. And so we need a phone number, number one. And then, so that's the number one activity, is adding new leads to your pipeline. And then the second activity is following up by phone. So phone could mean a series of text messages or phone calls, but it needs to be a mix. Like you can't just text somebody into buying a home from you, right? So to be a series of follow-up and text messaging. So if you can focus on just those two activities and do nothing else, right, it's really easy to basically double your business overnight, right? So adding new leads to your pipeline every month, and then following up by phone and keeping those relationships alive. Any agent that's listening to this podcast can virtually double their business overnight.
Yep. Couldn't agree more, man. So when it comes to Pro Tools, man, is this, I know you mentioned one of the systems that you guys have being something where you can generate those leads, but then do you guys also have a CRM component, or do you integrate with CRMs, or what is that?
Yeah. So we decided a long time ago that we wanted to just focus on one thing and just being the best at that one thing. And that's lead generation. So we do, we built a CRM last year. We refreshed a CRM last year. It's called Pipeline Database. So you can get it at pipelinedatabase.com. It's 100% for free. It's got a power dialer built in. It's got in-app two-way texting. It's got a bunch of other really cool features. It's got ringless voicemail drops. And that tool is totally free. And, the reason why we give that away is that we wanted our motivation to be based on just being the best at lead generation. So if you're a Pro Tools user and you're using these tools to capture new leads, the leads will automatically go into Pipeline Database because we built it and you can use it for free. But if you're using Lion Desk or Realty Juggler or Sync or Brivity, or it doesn't matter what CRM you're using, we'll sync up we play nice with everyone. So we'll sync up your lead flow into any CRM that you're using, so those leads automatically flow into whatever system you're using.
Yep. Love it, dude. So then to become number one on the front end lead generation side, like what are you guys seeing the results today? Like can you give some examples of things that are really working, whether it's doing Facebook ads, Google pay-per-click, or? Yeah,
for sure. So we actually are of the mind that most agents should not be spending money on paid ads. I know that probably sounds crazy, but there's plenty of free opportunities for the average agent to generate more than enough leads to feed their business without spending money. So we have 12 playbooks that we teach. These are rock solid. If you go out and implement, just do the checklist, you will generate leads every time you run this play. And only 2 of them involve paid traffic. And I won't get in, but we really reserve those for people that are feeding giant teams. So if you need like 300 plus leads a month, then you can supplement and tap into some of that paid traffic. But that's really just for somebody who's wanting to scale like massively. For the average solo agent, or even like 3-person team, which is what I find is typical out there, you can run free stretch. So let me just give you a couple of examples of playbooks that we're really successful with. Something that most people don't know is that you could probably generate as many, and let me take a step back. You actually need to know how many leads you need to generate on a monthly. So we have something that we call a lead number calculator, where you put in your target monthly income, right? So how much do you actually want to make? How much cash flow do you want from your real estate business, right? And there's multiple ways to figure that out. Maybe you just have like a random number in your head. You always wanted to get to 200K. Maybe you've sat down and you've done the dream line and you figured out that all of our expenses plus what we want to achieve, as a family is going to cost X. And so that's what, but anyway, figure out what you want what your target monthly income is. And then we have you put in some details like, average sale price in your market, average commission side, your effective company split, desired number of weeks vacation, whether you want, to work with buyers or sellers or some split. And then it will basically crunch the numbers for you and tell you how many leads you need to be adding to your pipeline every month. And it just be we call it the lead number, but it's a target you have to hit every single month. And it's super crunchy. But I could run you through it, but for the average agent, you're going to be somewhere between 60 and 100 leads, most likely, right? For the average agent that wants to build a six-figure business, it all depends on what market you're in. But let's say you need like 65 leads per month into your system. So then our coaches are going to scramble and they're going to be like, okay, now you're a Pro Tools user. Let us show you the strategies you need in order to get to 65. And for the average agent, you could run one really simple playbook that will get you to 65 every single month and without breaking a sweat. And that's our Craigslist playbook. So most people think you can't generate really high quality leads on Craigslist, but if you do the demographic research, and we have, fact check me on this, but Craigslist buyers who are on Craigslist are better educated. So they have more college completed on average. They have better credit scores by about 20 points and they make about 20K more per year family income. So they're richer, right? And so these are like dream customers when you look at the demographics, but most realtors, they either tried Craigslist once themselves to generate leads or they knew somebody that did and all they got was spam or they got the Nigerian prince who's trying to deposit money in their account, all the weird stuff, okay? And the reason why most realtors do not get these dream customers is they don't know how to write a very high converting ad and they don't have any lead capture tools on the other end. So all they're getting is people, bots that are emailing them. So we turn the email off, we write a really high converting ad, and then we give the customer 3 different ways to get more information through our lead capture tools with Pro Tools. We deliver the customer what they want so the customer's happy. And every time the customer is happy or they get what they want, ding, the agent just generated a new lead. Does that make sense? So any agent could go out and run this really simple Craigslist playbook, whether you have listings or not. We even teach you how to borrow listings. If you're listing less and you have no listings, we'll teach you how to borrow listings from competitors in town. Really, really simple for anybody to do. Post a high converting ad on Craigslist and generate leads every single time that you do. And so then you just have to rinse and repeat until you hit 65, if that's your lead number, for example, right? And then we have playbooks for Facebook Marketplace. We have a playbook for generating free leads off of Zillow, believe it or not, and on and on. And so then we have Facebook ads and Google AdWords, and we have a bunch of different playbooks that we've used ourselves and continue to use to generate leads with Pro Tools.
Yeah, that's badass, dude. Yeah, man, it's I love that you brought up that when realtors might sit there and say, "Oh, I tried Craigslist and had no success with it," and you brought up essentially ad copy and the importance of it amazes me how many real estate agents don't take the time, and we spend so much time on attending lead generation courses and training and trying to figure out lead generation, but very few spend any time when it comes to copywriting and writing compelling ads and understanding 100%. People's pain and pleasure. And I mean, can you just kind of elaborate on, maybe some top tips that you guys have found when it's writing compelling ads, whether that be something in Craigslist or maybe even if it's a friggin' postcard you're doing direct mail with?
So first of all, I second what you just said, Josh, that everyone should be in a copywriting course, even if you're not in even if you just want to have a better relationship with your wife, you should be in a copywriting class. You should learn how to effectively communicate with people. And you should understand the idea of motivation and how to move people to action. It's incredibly important no matter what you do with your life. All right. So I second that. But we also know that not every realtor has the time to go out and take a copywriting class in order to start generating leads from a Craigslist ad, for example. And so one of the tools that we built is our automatic ad creator. So you can drop a listing, and we actually have an update coming in a week that I was testing it earlier this morning. You can drop in a Zillow link of a property that you have permission to promote, and it'll write the ad for you. It'll literally pull over all of the details, the description, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then we find that although the copy does matter and we write the copy, so this ad is basically taking everything we've learned over the last 10 years and it puts it into an ad that you can copy and paste. The main thing is just piquing their curiosity. So one of the big things that we do different when we post ads is number one, we don't post the price, right? Because what's the number one thing that people want to know? is the price, right? So we're going to harness that curiosity and we're going to drive it into some kind of action at the end of the ad. Okay. So number one, no price. Number two is we will withhold the best pictures. So we'll usually do like 3 or 4 pictures, usually external only. And no matter what, we always withhold the kitchen and the master bath, because what does every woman want to see inside of a house that they're considering buying? They want to see the kitchen and the master bath. So we're going to harness that curiosity and we're going to drive it into an action at the end of the ad. Okay. And then finally, rather than writing like some amazing ad that most realtors, like you just mentioned, most realtors either aren't confident in doing or just can't do, we list like 5 bullet point amazing feature, like selling features of the house, just like bullet point style, and or bullet list style, and nothing else, right? So then at the bottom, this is the copy that we write for you, or our tool writes for you. This basically says to get more info, to get full pictures or even a video tour, just interact with one of these lead capture tools. So you could go to their website. It's going to be a really high converting website. You could text a unique property code, and you'll get back what you want, and ding, the agent just generated a new lead. Or we still use, I don't know if you remember back in the day, 1-800 call capture hotlines. Yeah. So those used to be really popular. Nobody uses them anymore because of course the world has turned to texting, but baby boomers haven't. So we find that we still generate about 10% of our lead volume every month comes from baby boomers who are just more comfortable picking up the phone versus using their thumbs to text you, right? And so what we know about baby boomers is even though it's 10% of our lead volume, it's something like 19-20% of our GCI. And the reason why is they've got money in the bank, right? So imagine that's a novel idea in 2020 of like wanting to buy real estate and actually having money, but they close faster and they buy at a higher price point on average. So even though it's a small volume, like, so we generate 100 leads, only 10 of them are going to be from this hotline, but the ones that are, they're much higher quality. Does that make sense?
Yep. Powerful stuff, man. So the 1-800 is just like an IVR system where they get the recorded information, but then you capture
exactly
that,
right.
Send that alert to the agent. You're able to let the agent know, hey, this number's calling on this property right now.
Yep.
Right. So it sounds like, man, just a clean, simplistic ad highlighting the main bullets, as you said, and then really piquing
and
that
withholding what they want to know most, which is the price, and they want to see the goods. They want the money shots, right? So we withhold that and promise it on the other end if you go get more information on this listing.
Yeah, love it, dude. And then, when you talk about a high converting website, right? Mm-hmm. What are just some kind of like top rules of thumbs, that you have, or tips that you have for somebody that's, maybe it's their own personal website. CRM that they have, maybe somebody's using a Boomtown account or whatever it may be, right? Like what are just some top tips, dude, to get a high converting website?
Yeah. So we're going to analyze everything all the way down to the colors and the font face. And like we A/B and split test everything. So we're going to know exactly like how to dial in and get the highest conversion rate possible. But we talked about Pareto's law before. Most agents can get 80% of the results with 20% of the activity on their website. And so what you want to do is you just want to force registration to get access to whatever the ad promised, right? So the ad is going to promise some kind of bribe. Like I'll send you 47 interior pictures on this house, or I'll give you a complete video tour of this house, or whatever the thing is or I'll give you up-to-date pricing. If you interact with if you go to the website, the pricing's on the website. And so whatever it promises, it needs to be right there within their reach. And then you need to have some kind of lead capture form that forces action, right? So a lot of agents get uncomfortable with this, like, oh, I just want to be nice. I want to deliver the information that they want. And I don't want to require registration. I want registration to be optional. Okay, well, that's nice. But if registration is optional, I'm never going to register, just personally. Why? Like, what if I can just click away and get what I want, then why would I take the time to fill out a form? No thanks, right? So it sounds nice, but if you want to generate leads from your website, you have to force registration, right? So it needs to be whatever you're bribing them with, whatever they're going to your website to get, it needs to be right there within reach. So generally it would be like a light box situation where you can kind of like transparently see behind the form, but then the form is blocking the information. This is what we've learned works the best. The form, and of course our websites are built this way already, but the form needs to be blocking the information that's most important. And it needs to be like one click away so they can just fill in name, email, phone number, and press go and get exactly what they're looking for. And then it's really important that you never ask them for that info again. So you need to have some kind of cookie set to make sure that you're not constantly bugging them or being annoying with the lead capture form.
Yep. Love it, dude. And then what is, like, just to kind of set a baseline, like, what is a good converting website? Like, what number, I mean, from click to lead, you see some websites that I've had in the past are like 3%, some at 10%, like what would you say is a baseline where what
baseline? So actually it's really interesting, but we stopped tracking. Well, we still track it. We stopped publishing conversion rates a long time ago because we realized that it wasn't important to agents. So we geek out over this stuff, and we've had websites that convert it. Just depending on the type of ad that you're running to it, we can convert as high as 40%. So somebody clicks over to get one specific thing. It's obviously right there. All they have to do is fill in the info and they can get it. You can convert it 40% from the Craigslist ad that I just mentioned. Okay. From a cold traffic, like a Facebook ad or a Google AdWord, if you could convert at 20 to 25%, your numbers will all line up and you can have a really low cost per lead. Even in a great market, you should be able to spend less than $20 a lead, which, as you know, is awesome. But we stopped publishing our conversion rate because we realized that most agents don't care. They don't care how much, what the conversion rate is. They care how many leads they got, right? And so we just really track and publish lead count. So we boil everything down to, what's your lead number? You need 65 leads this month. How many ads are you going to have to run in order to hit that? And of course, a better converting website is going to convert more leads, but we handle that side with Pro Tools, and we make sure that we're, constantly, testing new ideas and figuring out all that stuff so agents don't have to think about it. But we just track lead count. So you post an ad on Craigslist, the average agent that uses our system and runs, for example, the Craigslist playbook, doesn't have any clue what their conversion rate is. They just know how many leads they generate from one ad, and generally it's 2 to 3 leads per ad.
Yep. Love it, dude. So then, when it comes to tracking itself, and it's like, I can be in a room with 100 agents and ask how many of you guys are tracking your business and, lay out the KPIs of what they should be tracking. And it's like 1 out of 100 that raises their hands, right? Mm-hmm. And it's impossible to make smart strategic decisions in your business unless you're tracking and knowing your data. Like what are some of the things that you track that you supply to the agent with the tools that you have? And then what are some things that they still need to track on their own to ensure that they're having success?
Yeah. So one of the things that we track is just your lead number. So when you log into Pipeline Pro Tools, the dashboard that you see basically shows your leads for the last 30 days. And over to the left, it shows you what your lead target is and how many leads you've actually generated, and whether you're basically, let's go red, yellow, green system. So if you're within 10% of your goal, but still below it, you're yellow, right? So you need to bump things up, but you're not that far off. If you're more than 10% off your goal, then that's red. You've got to increase your lead gen. And then if you're at or above your lead number, then you're green. So it's just a red, yellow, green system that we use. And we want agents to, we really just want to underscore that as long as you're hitting that lead number on a monthly basis and you're doing the follow-up, right? Your monthly income, all of your goals, how many deals you want to, all that's going to take care of itself, right? You really just need, and we do this in my business as well. So with Pro Tools, we know that we're not going to add new accounts out of thin air. We got to book demos, right? And so we've boiled everything down that I know in order to hit our quarterly goals, I have to book 25 demos per week per sales agent that we have, right? I have to feed every sales agent with 25 booked demos per week. And I know that one week we might have a fluke bad week. One week we might close every demo that we talk to, right? But over time, just like you said, tracking the numbers and understanding statistics over time, everything's going to level out and we're going to hit our goals in the long run. We do every single quarter. So we just teach agents to follow the same thing. So we start with that business planning calculator. We call it the lead number calculator, figuring out what you want to make and how many leads that you need to put into your pipeline every month in order to get there. And that's the number one thing that we focus on. And then on the back end, we do help them with your contact rate. So you need to be getting a hold of 50 to 60% of the leads that come through your pipeline. Right? Some people are never going to answer. They just don't answer phone numbers that they don't recognize, and that's totally fine. Just factor that into your business, and it's no big deal. But you need to be reaching 50 to 60%. If you're not, you need to figure out what you're doing wrong, right? And so that's one metric and then the other thing is that one of the things that's easiest to, if you're listing focused, you want to be converting those people into CMAs. So we know that 55% of all buyer leads are going to have something to sell in a typical market. And so we want to figure out which half of the leads we talk to are selling something. And then we want to bribe them with, we have an awesome free CMA service that's just a lot better than like the standard CMA that the agents do nowadays. And it's like 50 points. So we pitch them on that. And if we can get them to agree to get a CMA from us, then it's really easy to set a listing appointment from there. And so that's another number that we track it for listing focused. For an agent that's buyer focused, we try to get them set up for automatic listings. That's kind of like our number one goal when we make that first follow-up is, what's your search criteria? Let me add it to our system, and it'll automatically email you the minute that anything hits the market. And you can do this through any MLS, right? And so you just plug that data in, and we want that to be 25% of the leads that we talk to. We want them to have signed up for automatic listings. And then we have unending excuses to call them back, right? And so we just do the 6x6, we one touch for 6 weeks straight. And that's generally all you need in order to eventually get a showing with them. And then of course we have a different process if they're a seller. Like we talked about, we start with the CMA and then set the listing appointment.
Yeah, no, I do. I mean, I love the I guess integration that you guys have had with the software and the tools, but the high amount of coaching and training, right? Which seems to be that missing component for so many with systems. And I mean, the average real estate agent isn't extremely tech savvy. And it's a bitch to go out there and learn how to utilize this stuff. And you don't know where to start. And, it sounds like you guys are almost like a real estate training company that's backed with supported software.
Well, what's cool is I'm really passionate about the software and some of the projects that we've, some of the things, the tools that we built, but I consider myself through and through. It's not a sexy title, but I consider myself through and through just a teacher. And it's probably, in my talent stack, it's probably my top skill. And so it's something that I'm pretty passionate about. Teacher doesn't sound very cool, but
yeah. No, yeah, love it, dude. So where do you guys see this going in the future, man? Like, where do you, I know it can be tough to predict, man, but what do you see guys taking this in the next couple of years?
That's tough to say. I mean, we have some internal goals, number of, paid customers that we want, new accounts that we want, using Pro Tools. And, we want to hit those every single year. For the next 5 years. We've got some really cool strategic partnerships. We're building, I'll tell you, it's been a year since we released a free tool because Pipeline Database was such a massive project. Usually when we build a free tool and give it away for free, it's like a single use, single function productivity app like Listing Cake. Pretty easy to put together and ship it. With Pipeline Database, with all the different features and the in-app two-way texting and the power dialer is tough to build, right? But I think we did a pretty good job at it. And so that was a massive project, took a lot out of us. And then we had to spend some time working on the things that we had kind of left behind while we were building that project. So this is the first time in a long time, but we're building a new free tool. And is it okay if I give a sneak peek? It's not out yet, but FSBOnanza. So play on the word FSBO. So you can find it at FSBOnanza.com. As of right now, it will take you nowhere. But sometime in March, we're going to ship this product. And you can go in, enter your zip code, and it will search your zip code and the surrounding area for all available for sale by owner data available on the internet. And it will download it into a really easy to use spreadsheet that you can use to, if you have a FSBO strategy you use, we'll teach you one that we use that's really effective. You can actually sync it with whatever CRM you're using. You can save a subscription so that we'll just update it once a month and ship you new FSBO leads that have come on the market since the last time you searched. And it's going to be 100% for free. So I know that there's services out there that charge like, $100, $200, $300 a month for this data. We don't think that it's necessary. And so we're going to build a tool, FSBOnanza, that allows you to download the data for free. And I think it's going to have a huge impact. I think it's going to help a lot of agents, and we're excited about it.
Yeah, that's badass, man. I love it. Yeah, I was just in a room recently with the owner of ForSaleByOwner.com, or the company leaders that own ForSaleByOwner.com. And the current statistic right now is that 60% of all for sale by owners not just end up listing with a real estate agent, but end up listing and selling with a real estate agent, right? So there's just so much money to be had there, even when low inventory rates and all the stuff that were taking place. So, man, it's just a huge key point of business, man. What's so cool about this, and I hope our listeners are picking up on this, with all the free value that you're giving to your the real estate community, right? Giving value, right? And obviously that the hope is that it helps them grow their business and they want more tools. And like you said, then they want the really good stuff, right? But we need to be looking at that as the same lens with our real estate businesses to the consumer out there, and I think so many agents are just kind of going with the same shit that we've been doing for 15, 20 years. And the consumer just doesn't see the same value in it, and you guys just seem to be such a value driven company to give, right? It's extremely powerful, man. So, yeah, dude, I'm curious, dude, with, growing these two different businesses, dude, like what have been like what were some of the, I guess, best learning moments that you had in your real estate business that allowed you to transition and pivot to be so successful in this current venture that you're in?
It's a great question. I would say that one of them was, I think it's going to sound corny, but one of them was I invested in a $500 course. It's actually called an accelerator. And it was just I don't see any reason not to be totally transparent. So back about a year and a half ago, I was really trying to learn how to find partners for my business, right? So I could, build Propline Pro Tools and then go shout about it as loud as possible in every venue that I could. But what you find is that most people aren't interested in listening, right? But if you know this because you're in the podcast business, but if you can find somebody who already has the attention and the trust of the audience that you want, and you go partner with that person and you create some kind of value for them, then they'll promote your thing. And when they promote your thing, everybody's ready to listen, right? And so it's just the value of partnerships. And I kind of understood it in the idea of like, I kind of had this like really primitive idea of, I'll just like sign on all these affiliates and get them to go out and sell Pro Tools for me. And, I'll pay them a commission and they'll be happy and I'll be happy. And nobody's really interested in doing affiliate deals, at least not the top level guys. Like the really high performers aren't interested in doing affiliate because that just involves in getting paid later, right? And everyone's worked with someone who promised a whole lot of stuff, and then you found out that after you promoted all their stuff that they never sold anything and you're not getting paid and it was a waste of your time, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so no one's really interested in it. So I tried that for like a year of like, how am I going to find out how to get really great partners or affiliates to help me promote Pro Tools? And I had zero success. And out of nowhere, a guy that I like really respected, he invited me to join an accelerator. It was called the Partnership Accelerator. And he was literally going to teach you through how to get other people to promote your business. And I was like, well, the business honestly, the business was not doing great. It was not, we weren't in a position where I could just go like drop $500, which that shows you where we were at. Okay. Couldn't just drop $500 on, some course that I wanted to take. And so I just took it out of my own pocket. Right. And it was a hardship at the time, but, took the course. This is only 18 months ago, took the course, went through it, and then just implemented it step by step. So even though I'd been trying to do this for a year, and I'd been unsuccessful. And so you would think that like my ego and my pride would all be wounded, I'd be all wounded and I wouldn't want to listen. I just decided to check my ego at the door. And I just literally did step by step exactly what he taught. And I was extremely skeptical, right? So there's a little struggle in the beginning, but I started executing on what he taught during that 1 month accelerator. And within 3 months, completely turned the business around. And now that one strategy is our number one driver of new sales. And like we can barely slow down, all like we literally tripled the business in 1 year, maybe even more. Cause when you factor in that because it's a recurring business, we were a downward trajectory at the time. So where we would have been versus where we are today is probably more like 4Xing the business. And that all came down to taking that $500 it was a struggle, but just investing in myself and increasing my talent stack. And so I would just say 2 lessons from that. Number one, don't be afraid to invest in yourself, right? So a lot of times we're like all wary about, oh, this person's just trying to scam you or whatever. And, do your due diligence, but you also shouldn't be so hesitant or reluctant to just go invest in somebody's course or somebody's boot camp or somebody's tools or whatever, right? Go out and test it, right? If you even get one good idea out of it, it'll be worth the $500. Right? So don't be afraid to invest in yourself. Don't always be a miser. And then the number 2 lesson was whenever you do, check your pride at the door, check your ego at the door, and be like, if this person has already done what you're trying to do, don't use the excuse of, oh, well, you must have gotten lucky, but it's not working for me. Or this is my favorite one. It's not working for me in my market. Have you ever heard that one, Josh? Yeah. I think that it's a great idea. I love your whole open house approach, your mega open house approach, but it doesn't work for me in my market. My market's different, right? So check your ego at the door. If you really want to grow, find somebody that's already done it and just follow exactly step by step, what they did. And we're crushing it now. Like not to be boastful, but we're crushing it now.
Yeah, love it. Powerful stuff, man. And for those that are watching and listening, where's the best place, Chris, to go? I mean, check out everything at Pro Tools, kind of get plugged in, check out
so
that you guys have.
You can check us out at GorillaRealty.com. I'm sure there'll be like a link in the show notes or whatever. You can check us out at Pipeline Pro Tools is our flagship product. And you can go to pipelineprotools.com. And then either one of those will lead you back to all the free tools that we offer. So if something piqued your interest, like Listing Cake or Pipeline Database or Free Photo Brand, any of the free tools I mentioned on this podcast, you can go to GorillaRealty.com and click the Tools tab and access all of our free tools. And then, like I said, FSBOnanza.com. It's nothing yet. I don't know what your publishing schedule looks like, but sometime in March, we're going to ship that tool, and I'm stoked about it.
Yeah, sounds awesome. Sounds badass. And those that are watching and listening, we're going to make it super easy on you guys. We're going to have all those links right below so you can just take action, click on those, and check that stuff out. Chris, dude, I truly appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to be here, man. I know you're a really busy man, and it's been a lot of fun and honor having you on the show, brother.
Yeah, it was great to be here. I really enjoyed it.
Yep, 100%. And those watching and listening, I know I end every podcast with this, but information without implementation is just the start of delusion. Information isn't power. It's taking that information, taking action on it. That gives you the power to create the life that you know you want and deserve. And Chris shared so many amazing pieces of advice with you today. Take something that you learned, go out there and take immediate action on it so you can create that life that you know you want and deserve. Thank you guys so much for listening and all of your support, and we'll see you next time. Peace.